All right. So, Warren Smith had a very interesting video that he had apparently been responded to. He was looking at the Ben Shapiro and Neil deGrasse-Tyson debate, because Neil deGrasse-Tyson has taken this firmly anti-science point of view of, that men can be women and gender is fluid and there's a spectrum. Okay, so this is the whole thing is, so gender fluidity is a term in science. What field? This is real. This is it, Warren Smith. This is all it comes down to. This is the whole thing with Destiny. See, you kind of got a little boggled by the way he was approaching critiquing you, that you were sitting there and just, kind of like shocked that what he was saying, it was a bit nonsensical and immature. Well, because that's the thing about Destiny, is that he's fundamentally a manlet. What field of knowledge is that in? See, because manlet is a social construct. So the whole thing is that the key issue with all of this gender stuff is, just like everybody else, it's based in gender and queer theory. And the handful of people who are kind of the authors of this sort of thing, while linguistically brilliant, while they could present a lot of sort of relatively empty arguments, because at some point it comes down to, well, so this has to exist in a field of knowledge. All you got to do is do the observational work to find out how to categorize what you're seeing, because it is real. Remember, what they're claiming is gender is different than sex, and it's absolutely real. And if it's real, and that would mean that it could be observed, and that's observantia, as opposed to interest. Now, somebody like me, I've gotten to the point that I understand these people well enough to know, no, this is all. You see, you're more charitable. I used to be, and I remember, you were probably not even born when I first heard of the idea of the spectrum. This was an idea that wasn't even normal in the swinging 90s as an idea, really. Like people, that there was there was the bisexual stripper. That's like the thing, the bisexual slutty girlfriend or stripper. Or, oh yeah, she says she's bi, dude. Oh my god, dude, I might get 2 girls at once, bro. That was pretty much how it worked. I think there was even movies about this kind of thing, or jokes in movies. So, and it was a big deal, especially in the rave scene. So it's associated solidly with people, taking drugs, party scene and taking drugs, and, she sometimes will like girls too, yeah, and so, and you just see this repeated now, since the 90s, I've seen this repeated over and over and over, as some age group reaches their swinging 20s, and inevitably, dude hooks up with she's bisexual, bro, and yeah, and he learns either the hard way or the easy way, that, yeah, well, but does that mean you could compete with that? And what does that really mean? What does substantively that mean? Can you find this out from a blood test? Can you find this out by, well, I guess you'd have to very closely observe people's behaviors, wouldn't you? Very closely. To the point that it would be actually completely inappropriate, the method, the intimacy with which you're observing what you're observing. No, it's that people proclaim it because a big part of this is the right has quite a number of different kinds of theories. One of these is deracination and the results of deracination as more and more people kind of don't have something that they can look back and say, I'm a part of that legacy and tradition of these or those people, that they'll kind of come up with extremely artificial identities of some sort. So it's very natural to identify with one's family members because that's just normal. That those are the people who know you the best. They were around you the most. Identifying with something like some odd behavior pattern, which would usually be considered a vice, well, that comes out of like the social revolutions of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The sexual revolutionaries like think that it was just so amazing that, oh, look at me, I'm being gayish, and that when you hear these people talk, they act like, remember, they say their existence is a protest. They think somebody is trying to stop them from having supposedly wild and crazy, sex, I guess, or something. Somebody is keeping them from doing what they want to do. So now, this is the type of people you observe who are all about the sexual revolution and trying to be like, and carrying it on now in a way that's so ersatz, and just so perfunctory. You can easily now really start picking out, well, no, this appears to be people who are smart and perverted. Now, in the world of now the genetics and behavior, this has been found. No, there really is a thing of you will find people who are, they'll be into elaborate perversions and fetishes the smarter they are. Dumb people don't have, like, they don't go to that extent. And it's just one of these things, they just don't take the time to go to that extent. This is something that is peculiar as you breed for intelligence, or you breed more and more intelligent generations. So then beyond that, you get to observation versus interest as part of the process of scientific discovery. Because remember, the whole thing you were criticized about was, oh, he's talking about science and da-da-da, which I love that Destiny was doing that, because he loves acting like he's being scientifically accurate, this, that, and the other. And he even said what his method would be to throw the argument off. He actually outright started walking through, this is how I would actually ruin the argument entirely. So, I would just find some I'd find some studies that buttress me and not really take on, am I correct or not? Is this true? Easy dunkaroo on this one. Who is this profoundly amazing person who found out that there was a gender spectrum? Name them. Remember, this would have been one of the greatest discoveries in the history of human behavior, genetics, psychology. This person should have gotten a Nobel Prize for this discovery. So who are they? And then what is that field? Because once it's a scientific field, you would have a logic behind it. The logos of that field of knowledge. So you would have genealogy, psychology, stuff like that. So where's the logos? What is it? And so then, because of the Human Genome Project, prove it exists, because it has to be a trait or not. It is either a feature or a bug. And this is one of the most unfortunate things that really a lot of people don't get, because they think it's like a kind of self-own in this world of people who are in the kind of the world of the right, where a lot of people in the world of the right are flawed people and know that they inherited it. And they just know it. They know that that's it. That's the cards they were dealt. And a lot of people don't really get like, no, you accept that. And it hurts. And it doesn't feel good. And you just accept it. Yeah, like, I mean, like, I'll even go there. So why doesn't your host here have children? Because my mother possibly suffered from a congenital mental problem. That's it. And that would mean that trait could be passed on. And that's that. No. Why would I want to do that if I know that's the case? See, there was another one that I could give. What was it? Crip Daddy. Some people on Twitter and X and stuff really know this guy. Well, he argues that his illness, that people like him shouldn't exist. And then everyone was horrified. He said this and he goes, I don't think you all get this. He goes, I'm the one who's intensely crippled. If I don't think I should exist, maybe it's the problems with you guys and your feelings. And this was rough. But that is what the right discusses with one another. And then we discuss family. It's because you just deal with the cards you got like a fucking man, no matter how much it hurts. And that's why we're different than people like Destiny. That's why he has to be mealy-mouthed. He has to be on psychiatric prescriptions, things like that. Can't control his sexual appetites, etc. Is a kind of declared hedonist of sorts. Well, what's the scale of this phenomena? Neil deGrasse Tyson should have been asked. There's many, many types of stars. Yeah, right? Because it's a field of knowledge. And if it's, then you could subcategorize, you got big red stars, you got white dwarf stars, you got blue stars, you got yellow stars, you got all these different kinds of stars. And you should, I would have walked him through various categories of celestial phenomena and phenomena in space. And then I would have said, okay, so there's names for all this. You can measure these things, right? You could look at the light, the radiation, the way it's distorting gravity, and you could tell this is real because it has an effect on other things around it. Okay, so transgenderism has something to do with a thing called gender, and that's real. Okay, so now where's the scale? What's the different types? And infinite time. No, there's not. No, that's not how it works. Now we're back to the basics of understanding knowledge and science, epistemology and phenomenology. What's going on, Mr. Science? That's all it would have taken. And somebody like you really would know how to do this to somebody. Because that's what the deal is. If it's real, I should have a measurement for it. There should be a metric for it. I could find it. I could isolate it. I could at least even see it disturb other phenomena around it. But it's not real. And that's the thing with DeGrasse-Tyson's conundrum. Is that this was a slap in the face to the very concept of science. Now remember, he works for, Discover Incorporated, pretending really kind of to be a scientist. Like a lot of those guys. You remember that movie? You do remember that movie, What the Bleepity Bleep Do We Know? Remember that one? That all these scientists, Michio Kaku or something, he was in it. Okay, you do know that was a recruitment movie for a cult, right? Just type it into Google, because it was that woman who was in the documentary. Like, if you look at the name, it does, it kind of explains it, but it doesn't really, because you see, what you have to do is find out, like, okay, so this person goes by this kind of peculiar name, hey, whatever, like Darutha or something. Well, and you look it up, and oh no, Darutha is an extra dimensional being that this woman was channeling. So this was one of those rich middle classers, rich, intellectually driven people who start a liberal cult. Now, I'm in the Northwest, and you hear about people who've been raised on quote-unquote communes. You hear about these places that people will go to party, that it's somebody's property that you get to hang out on or whatever. There's a lot of this kind of stuff that you slowly figure out, okay, no, because they're kind of culty. And then when you look into stuff like organizations like the Rosicrucians and stuff, and then you find out, oh, okay, this is just thinly veiled fake Vedanta. Key to this is all kind of stuff that ends up becoming exceedingly important to artists of my father's generation. Some of these organizations even like to brag about the actors and actresses who were a part of the AMORC, the Rosicrucians out of Hollywood or LA or something like that. They have this big temple that's done all Egyptian style and stuff. And they say that whatever they're about has something to do with Egypt, but it mostly is like really badly put together Vedanta, really. And so more and more, because I find this happens a lot, like this kind of thing comes up. It's like, yeah, you see, traditional religion in the West, Christianity, and I've been sold on this. I used to be one of those hard anarcho kind types, and I went from, I was on the left. I was on the left when the left was totally not cool. I remember Cenk Uygur on the radio. I remember Rachel Maddow on the radio. I remember getting up in the morning for one of 2 to 3 jobs at one time in my life, and I would listen to them first thing in the morning on Blue State Radio. I remember when Al Franken was still on the radio, and he wasn't in government. I remember when he ran for office. So anyway, this type of thinking that came out of, and there's actually a really good book by an Orthodox priest on this that will probably come up in the comments. Sarah from Rose's book, that he covers Vedanta and how Vedanta affected society mostly in the 60s, but established itself in the 50s. And it's basically a worship of the self. I am God is the kind of thing that they're into. Well, so it really becomes worshiping of the self. Rosicrucians, like, they stare in a mirror, they have meditation in a mirror and stuff, and it's because it's this isn't anything new. This is Gnosticism. So as you know, there's that one, the one who wrote all those fake papers and fooled everybody, James Lindsay. You'll probably be like, wait, Gnosticism, oh, you're making the James Lindsay argument. No, James Lindsay caught up to me. I've been saying this for many, many years. I'm like, no, a lot of this is just low Gnosticism. It would be total bullshit Buddhism, reverse Buddhism, and then it would be bad Gnosticism. It's like, because with Buddhism as well, there's kind of power, there's something kind of beyond you that you can't control. So this idea of worshiping oneself is silly in Buddhism because it's not real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't beat death. That's all that matters. And worshiping yourself as a deity also doesn't matter because as they put it, even the gods suffer because the gods supposedly exist. And that's one of their arguments. That's where you see this exist thing. You're probably wondering why I concentrate so much on that, because that was my background, was kind of Buddhist phenomenology and stuff of the Nagarjuna school. So, and Zen Buddhism and stuff. So anyway, this is the issue that you end up having with all these people who argue this. All they've got to prove is, well, it exists. So I mean, all you got to do is just point out the field, like what field, like, so is it biology? The advocates themselves are like, no, it's not biological. And they're like, okay, so is it like psychological? Now they would have to broach that very carefully, because is something wrong with their psyche, being that they're this infinitesimally small number of people who act in a way that's extremely strange. Proving heteronormativity absolutely normal. No, the key thing is you see, when you worship yourself, then it even makes more sense that society is wrong and is making like this misunderstanding happen about, your identity. And then there's, the whole thing about how this seems to be a fixation of when people are young and somebody is willing to have sex with them, because that's also a big part of it. Because that's a big part of it, because I've got to see these people get old in some cases. So it's one of these things of like, no, after a certain point, they're just a lonely homosexual is what it is. Or they find, with women, they find like kind of, the human couch or carpet that they're going to be with for the rest of their life. And, and hopefully things will be great. That's fine. But it's people who start taking all the hormones and stuff like that. They age exceedingly poorly. They age very, very poorly, because you're not supposed to do that to the body. Then there's this whole thing that comes up about sports. This isn't even a debatable. I mean, like, this is one of these that this is just a fundamental denial of known knowledge about the biology of humans. And, and the most fascinating part about it is that what it is, it's denying the way that fundamental physics and anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology are understood and known. This would be an infinitesimally small number of people, and if you have an infinitesimally small group like that, I'm sorry, the right understands this from the point of view of genomics, the field of genomics. That is a mutation. And people could say, well, red hair's a mutation. And said, yeah, and those people get cancer at an inordinately high rate. Mutations in new races, like black people, it takes a while to fundamentally breed out the mutational load so that you have a relatively stable population that doesn't die inordinately of some strange illness. That's why when there's some groups that have concentrated their breeding in such a way, they have very strange illnesses that concentrate in their group. See, I fry chicken for a living. I think a lot. All right, I'll be back in a minute.